folks, and welcome to another Sunday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
And I'm back again. I'm Mikey.
And this podcast will be 30 minutes, or the next one's free.
I promise this time.
Boom! All right, so, perfect. We've talked about our favorite bands.
Oh, yes.
We've talked about, favorite singers, stuff like that, favorite songs.
Yes.
Songs, music. But I was thinking about this the other day. Perfect 10 album. Now, perfect 10 album means every track is good. It's solid. This was such an easy one for me that I actually made a top 10, but I'm just going to discuss the top 5. However, you made 5 very quickly.
I did, right? Like, this is one of those things that there aren't a lot of them, but because there's not a lot of them, they're really easy to remember and they stick out in your mind really quickly.
So I'm going to say this. Oh, no, I'll let you go. Your guess.
Now, are you talking about your 10 or just the 5 you're going to choose?
Just the 5.
I'm going to say there's one.
I think there's one, too. I'll have to say 2.
I'm sure there's one.
I'll have to say 2.
And I know the one. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm pretty safe to say my honorable mentions. Hold on, let me make sure.
Please, if you say honorable mentions, I will not say if it's a snipe or not.
People are going to be shocked by this first one, but this is the only one I had to look up. I had to look through my Amazon albums and say which on my playlist and which ones I had on here that I never thought of. There was one that I said, you know what? I'm slightly embarrassed, but I don't care. It's a perfect 10 album. Title by Meghan Trainor.
Oh, is that the one that's got all about the bass?
Yeah.
I think that's the only song I know.
And the thing is, I don't. And a lot of these songs are tied to our experiences listening to it over and over again.
Sure. Yeah.
My wife, when I'd first gone to Gen Con, accidentally left. She took my CD out, put her CD in. When I started driving, I couldn't switch out the CD because it's in my CD case. It's back in CD cases.
Yeah.
We're still around. I was like, oh no,
it's
stuck in there. And now I've got. So I had all intentions of switching it out, but I'm driving on the highway and I'm not going to stop for a few hours. That thing played like 4 or 5 times. I decided to just leave it in the whole trip. But I started loving every single song.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, that title by Meghan Trainor is number 10. Number 9, everyone knows I'm a big Weezer fan. Weezer, the Red Album,
right?
Is just so good. The moment it came out, even the bonus tracks that came out later are so dadgum good. But that's number 9, and bonus tracks don't count. But even if they did count, Weezer Red would be number 9. Number 8 is Whatever by Hot Chili Ray Ray.
Okay, I remember you talking about him. Yeah.
Every song on that album, I absolutely love. And Megan used to listen to it in the car because I would pop that. That was if you're on the visor. The quick visor CD holder,
right?
Then that means you were something I was going to play, and Whatever was always in the visor.
That is awesome.
With a lot of these other albums, in fact. Hold on, where am I? Number 7. Weezer Green, obviously. Yep. Listen to that. I remember I was in Lafayette when that came out. Bought it at a music store, and I was at the hotel. I didn't have a CD player, so I just drove around in my car for hours around town just so I could listen to the CD. And I just wanted to drive with the windows down, cool summer night.
Mm-hmm.
Loved every minute of it. 6, finally, before we get to the top 5, is Jars of Clay, their first self-proclaimed album. I had to go back and listen to it just to make sure. And it's not a top 5, but it definitely was. That's when I decided I need to make a top 10.
Yes.
And that was the song that said I need to make a top 10 instead of doing honorable mentions. Hence why it became number 6. Okay, so who wants to go first here for 5?
Well, okay, so let me do a couple of honorable mentions. We'll just get these out of the way,
yes,
right?
Go ahead.
So I will say this. I have talked about this recently with some other friends. The art of the album, I think, is a lost art. I think back in the day, you used to see a lot of not just concept albums, but the way that an album is laid out. I'm sure they still do that, but it's hard these days to find an album. You find 2 or 3 good songs off of an album, but there's so many older albums that I can go back and listen to, and I'm like, I could just put that record on or the CD on or whatever and just let it play. And yes, I still use records and CDs for that reason of I just want to put one on. And some of these ones ones that are honorable mentions for me, Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. I think from beginning to end, that's a great album.
Yep.
Dookie by Green Day.
That's a good one, too.
It's just a phenomenal album from beginning to end. The Stranger by Billy Joel, late 70s.
Oh, wow.
Like that plays like a greatest hits album. Like when you listen to it, it's like such wonderful songs through and through. I didn't think that soundtracks were right to put on here. So like,
I didn't include soundtracks, even though there's some really awesome.
But like Top Gun, Dirty Dancing, Footloose, like I would listen to from beginning to end. I'd listen to all of those.
There was another one called Idle Hands.
Oh, Idle Hands, yeah.
That soundtrack was
right.
I don't remember the movie, but Idle Hands, the soundtrack was Singles, the soundtrack.
Singles, Empire Records had a great soundtrack. Yes, remember Empire Records?
And I love these CDs more than the Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, Reservoir Dogs. Dumb and Dumber had a great soundtrack.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We do movie soundtracks. Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, is way up there.
Is way up there for me.
Right. So I could keep going. There's one that if this was older, it would be on my top 5. And the reason why I say that is because my top 5 are all going to be older albums. Y'all know me.
Okay.
But there's an album from 3 years ago that I think is absolutely perfect. It's one of my favorite albums of the past couple of decades. It's by a band named Ghost, and the album is Impera. I think that album is absolutely perfect from beginning to end. I have torn this thing to shreds.
Is that number 5?
No. That's just that's like my 5.5. Okay. That's like number 6.
That's a 6. That's a 6.
If it was older. So my number 5, and really my 1 through 5 for the first time, I'm probably going to say are all interchangeable. You know, I'm just really kind of. I
agree.
I'm just kind of looking at all of these are perfect albums to me.
Yeah, they're all perfect 10s. So
my 1 is not my favorite album of all time, but it was the very first one that I thought of, and it's the very first album I think of when I think of a perfect album. So I think 1, it probably sits right where it needs to. So I'm going to go with my number 5 is Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. You know, it's my favorite rock band of all time. Every song on there to me is a banger. I have torn up the tape. I've torn up the CD. I have the record now. I listen to it back and forth. Every song to me is absolutely wonderful.
Oh no. Let me see. Did I make a mistake here?
So I might have Matt changing his mind. But that is my favorite band of all time, and that's one of my favorite albums of all time, and I think it's just perfect. Ooh. And it has my favorite song of all time on it, Sweet Child of Mine. So.
I love Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, Night Train, It's So Easy, Welcome to the Jungle, Mrs. Brownstone, My Michelle, You're Crazy, Anything Goes.
Rocket Queen.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's perfect. It is to me one of the last great hard rock albums that's ever been made.
Oh, I need to re-listen to a few other ones. I mean, they have to be 10s. But there's a lot of 10s on
I mean,
here.
To me, yes.
So this is I knew I was going to forget something. That I don't know. I'd have to listen to it. So I may make an asterisk there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've won.
That's my number 5.
You've won. There's not 2 crossover. Because the one I thought that we may tie on was my number 5, one of your honorable mentions. It is Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It is.
It is. I mean, every song as you go, oh, but you've already cranked it up because of the previous song. So you can't crank it up anymore. But you are belting out every line, every verse, every stanza.
I'm so happy that I wondered why you kind of like scoffed a little bit with your face whenever I said that, because I thought maybe he's not an Alanis Morissette fan. So I love that you're getting, because that album, I can't say I'm the biggest fan of hers per se, but that album is perfection.
I don't care about anything else she's ever done.
It's perfection.
That one album. I mean, I am belting out just as passionately as the next one and the next one. I mean, every song on that album is so solid.
Yep.
So solid. Yep. I mean, it's you just live it. Like, there's always that one song on the album. You're like, yeah. But this one, every one, you're just up in arms again. It's a stand up and deliver moment. It's fantastic. Girl power. Jagged Little Pill. Number 5. Lock it in.
Yep.
Sadly. There's not 2 crossover here, because I thought maybe that would be in yours.
But you still know that there is one.
We're both children. We're both music children of the 90s and 80s.
Right.
And I thought 90s Alanis Morissette, because she's early 90s too. that may be your.
Well, it's close.
Like,
it was
like
close.
a batter has a sweet spot. That's a sweet spot there, man.
And it really
the late
is.
80s, early 90s. Woo!
Well, what I just told you there by naming those albums I did is that if I made a top 10 like yours, it would have been in the top 10. It would be right there in like 7 or 8.
We'd have had one. Okay. So anyway, all right. So number 4.
So my number 4 is another 80s album, which I think this band actually made music in the 80s that while it was pop, it actually sounds a little different than other pop. And I think when you go back and listen to it, you can really tell the difference. It's Hysteria by Def Leppard.
Okay.
That album to me, you just start it and it goes, and it has hit after hit. It is the one that has Pour Some Sugar on Me, but that's actually one of my least favorite songs on the album, whenever their biggest song, because it's got Women, it's got Armageddon, it's got Love Bites, it's got I can't even think of the others.
I think about that too sometimes. The song that's playing on the radio isn't the best song on the album. I've said that several times. I said, you know what? There's a better song than this, though.
Oh, sure.
Why did they go with this song? Because this one's a better song. I've said that on several albums.
Yeah, when you look at something like going back to Appetite, obviously the biggest song off of there was probably either Welcome to the Jungle or Sweet Child of Mine. But probably the third biggest would have been Paradise City. Everybody knows Paradise City. Paradise City is my least favorite song on that entire album. And it's one of their biggest songs of all time. I think, My Michelle, Mr. Brownstone, Night Train, I think all those are much better than Paradise City. So I'm with you.
Dang. You're just making me think of more. That's top 5 underrated songs on an album.
Oh, yeah.
I could do that in a heartbeat.
And
not even mention these.
Right.
Not even mention these. Okay, so
you're number 4.
All right, my number 4 is a band that no one's ever heard of, and one of my favorite bands. I guess they're still around today, but Zebrahead. And it's one of their first albums ever got, Waste of Mind. Zebrahead's that crunk, is it crunk rock, trunk rock? I don't know. It's the rock with the beat, rock rap in a way, a little bit. Like the drums playing. He keeps
like kind of like a precursor to like new metal, like a precursor to like your Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park,
but
some ska stuff.
It was back in the day. It was late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay, sure.
And but they had this great sound and and I like a lot of their albums. Their first 3 albums were just killer. But I did go back and review them, and I thought, okay, that one not it. I was very particular. I said, is that one a 10? No. So I'll have to, that's an 8. That's a 9. But I wanted to make sure if Zebrahead didn't have any other ones, but Waste of Mind, every single song. I remember I traded straight up my Korn CD because he wanted Korn and I said, what is this? Because he's like, I didn't really like him that much. I said, I will trade you that Korn CD for this because I was like, get rid of Korn. I don't have to listen to Korn anymore. He said, really? I was like, yeah. So we traded straight up, and I went home, popped it in the car, listened to it the whole way home. I thought, man, this is a great band. Started buying.
I might have to look them up.
Zebrahead, really fun. I have odds like a lot of this. There's one album of these I think. Well, Jagged Little Pill I think would be on a lot of people's top 5. However, there's one other one, which is probably our crossover, which I think you'd see. But a lot of mine, you will not see on anyone's.
Right. Well, that's a Matt list. You do,
and it's a Mikey list too. But you're right.
You do think outside the box.
I do. Well, I just look at the ones that I just love every album. I mean, every song on the album. Okay, so
speaking of every song on the album,
number 3.
Yeah. So my number 3. Okay. I wanted to choose, and my first thought went to another album by this band because there is another album by this band that I think could work.
Oh.
And it not arguably, it is the most successful album by the band. But my favorite album by this band, I think, is perfect from beginning to end. The band is Metallica. The album is And Justice for All. And Justice for All, to me, is the best Metallica album, and it's perfect. A
lot of people say that. My cousin says that.
Now, the Black Album is the one that came to mind first because that is probably the most commercially successful metal album. Enter Sandman is the perfect song that brought metal to pop. They are, like them or hate them. I was lucky enough to see them in concert about a month ago for the first time. And you cannot argue. I just think you cannot argue how important Inner Sandman the song was, even though once again that's one of my least favorite songs on that album. But how popular it was and how important it was to bringing metal into mainstream. But for me, and Justice for All, when I put that on, it is before they became just a smidge more, radio friendly, and it was just very heavy and very thrash. And I'm not really into that type of music, but Metallica was always different because they were great musicians. They had good melodies, with the two guitars, with Hetfield being such a great guitarist himself and can keep that rhythm and can do kind of various solos that he needs. He could let Kirk go off and do what he needed to do, and it just blended perfectly. And I don't think a lot of other bands had that. So
no,
I'm absolutely, you could interchange those, probably Black Album and Injustice for All, but since Injustice for All is my favorite, I'm going to say that is a perfect album for me and my number 3.
That's a good one. I think there's a few people who put that as number 3. Put that in their top 5, I mean. My number 3 is self-titled from the band, Presidents of the United States.
Oh my God, millions of peaches. Peaches and for free.
Everything. Yeah. Everything. Naked and Famous.
Oh my God. Little Blue Dune Buggy. In the Sand.
Oh my goodness.
That was so like 1996.
Kitty. I mean, every one is just so.
Lump.
It's a lump. Everything is. By the way, not the best song on the album.
No. I always liked Dune Buggy, personally.
Dune Buggy is so good.
Peaches
is great, but Naked and everybody wants to be Naked and Famous.
Yeah.
Look at me. Naked 50-foot Smurfs, I mean, dude, it was something about that just clicked with me. It still does today. Me and my brother talk about that and laugh about it and how just so wonderful.
It was quirky and weird, and it fit the time.
Old Man on the Back Porch.
Oh, yeah.
Old Man is me. Everything.
It just worked.
Quirky, and it worked. Interruption here. Ones that did not get the perfect score, but albums I love, Michael Jackson's Dangerous.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what you said that made me spur that. I did look into that one, but it does fall short.
Right.
Because like I said, every song has to be up there for me, and not every one is up there, but still an album. There's lots of albums I think we'll both listen to.
Oh.
Because prior to this, I was telling you about an album I really loved, except for 3 songs I thought were filler. Right. And I said, if it wasn't for those 3 songs, it'd be a perfect 10. So there's songs there's tons of stuff like that, near perfects. 9s,
Right.
The 9s are, there's a big list of 9s. There's a lot of 9s, but 10s, 10s are special. All right, so that's number 3 for me.
All right.
Who does number 2 work for?
Well, since you, spoke about my boy, number 2 is Thriller by Michael Jackson. Now, I agree with you on Dangerous. I like Dangerous a lot. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, but there's usually 1 or 2 on there that I kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, now, Ho-Hum on, Heal the World, and
right, yeah.
Something else.
Now, Bad and Thriller, to me, I love every song.
Thriller again.
I love every song on those, but Thriller is like a greatest hits album. There's not a bad song on that. It's perfect in every way. I mean, everything was a hit.
Yeah.
I think... you've got
Lady in My Life, yeah.
See, I love Lady in My Life, and then
The Girl Is Mine,
right? It's got a freaking Beatle in it. You can't, like
Human Nature. I don't.
Oh my gosh, why? Tell them that it's human nature. That's one of the best grooves in pop history. It is a perfect album, and it's a reason, right? There is a reason why it's the highest grossing and best-selling album of all time.
Yeah, there's a reason. Because I'll have to look over this. This needs to be reviewed for me.
Now, Bad is very similar. It's just a different Michael Jackson, but I'm the same way on that one. I think every song is a banger. I think everything flows. When I think of Michael Jackson, I'm always going to go to Thriller, because it's got
Thriller's pretty solid.
The 3 or 4 like just iconic from him. Not like Bad and not Remember the Time, which are great, but you got your Thriller, you got your Beat It, you got your Billie Jean. I mean, just the trifecta of those 3. And then
this is a pretty good one.
You piggyback it with "Wanna Be Starting Something" and "PYT" and "Human Nature" and "The Girl Is Mine." I mean, it's like "The Stranger to Me" by Billy Joel. It's like
Billie Jean,
the album is a greatest hits album.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2.
You're right. That's a good pick. I'll have to give it further review before I make the call on the field. So, okay. So your number 1 is the Crossover.
You know what it is.
Because oddly, it's my number 2.
Yeah.
Weezer Blue.
That's right. There was no question about it.
There's no question in my mind. The Weezer Blue album is perfect.
It's the perfect album.
It's so perfect. Now,
even though Pinkerton is my favorite album by Weezer, which I think is equally as perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to go Blue.
But go Blue. Go Blue. Yes, that's right. Blue is just classic. They had a sound you'd never heard before. And I remember listening to tape back in the day and going, every song is so good.
And it still is to this day.
It still is to this day.
So last September, we had a chance to go to Austin. And,
did you go?
And we saw the Blue album tour. Me and Rusty and a couple of our other friends.
Sweet.
And to see them play live the Blue album from beginning to end was...
So they played it in track order.
Yes, in track order.
My Name is Jonas is the best way to start a concert.
Okay, all right. Well, they didn't start it that way, actually.
Oh.
So this is what they did. They played probably like 10 or 12 other songs, and then the back half of the concert was the Blue album.
Oh, that's great then. Great.
Right? But hey, this is another thing that you can write down. Best opening songs to albums ever. Because My Name is Jonas, that really sets the tone for like an album.
That's another good one.
Right? Because My Name is Jonas would be up there. Welcome to the Jungle, Here's a little teaser for you. Brand New Man by Brooks and Dunn. That sets that tone for that entire album.
But
I digress.
But Undone,
Blue album.
Surf Wax America, I love it. Say It Ain't So.
And the best song,
The World Is Turned.
my favorite Weezer song of all time, Rusty's favorite Weezer song of all time, my friend Neil's favorite Weezer song of all time, one that they never used to play live, was the last song we got to hear, the last song on that album,
Dreams?
Only in Dreams.
It's beautiful.
It's the best song.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So if that's your number 2, and I knew that was the crossover we had because we're such big Weezer fans, I'm very interested to see what your number 1 would be.
You'll know it when you hear it. Go ahead.
No, that's my number 1.
That's your number. Okay.
I have nothing more to. What more do we have to say about the Blue album? It's perfection.
Well, there's 2 types of Weezer fans in this world.
Yeah.
Weezer Blue.
Yeah.
And Pinkerton.
Is Pinkerton your 1?
Pinkerton's number 1.
Yeah, I mean it has to be, right? I just put them together because it's the best.
When Pinkerton came out, I remember the midnight release of I don't remember El Scorcho on MTV.
Yeah.
They released it at midnight. I watched it. I got the album. I listened to the album, and I went, "This is the best album I've ever heard in my entire life." And then it bombed.
Which is still so strange to me.
So, because he only plays. From what I've heard, he only plays El Scorcho, whatever.
We heard "Get You." Thankfully, we heard "Pink Triangle."
Pink Triangle.
He played that live, so they played like 2 or 3. But anyway, yes.
Yeah.
He distanced himself from Pinkerton for many years.
For the longest, he did, and it's a shame because there is Across the Sea.
They played that live. That was one of my favorite songs they played. Yeah.
Oh, is it the best song? It's probably the best song on the album, but I mean, like, why bother? The Good Life. So many, like you said, Pink Triangle, Falling for You, and then to cap it off with a small Butterfly, which my old roommate, to this day, tells me, he said he was never that big. He likes a few Weezer, but Butterfly is one of his top 10 songs in life right now. He loved Butterfly. That was so wonderful. He thought it was so wonderful that it was un-Weezer-like, I guess.
Right.
Acoustical, but it was so perfect. And from the first one, Tired of Sex, to the very end, Butterfly, I went, you just stand up. And you just do it. I did an applause. It's like, this is the best thing. Now the thing is, can I switch my mind? Yes, I can. And Blue Album goes right up there. I really had to coin flip, but the thing is, though, justice for Pinkerton. I made Pinkerton number 1.
I get it.
But Pinkerton is, and I mean, everyone knows this. If you don't already, folks, I'm a huge Weezer fan. So I mean, I want to rank all the Weezer. That would be my top 50 Weezer albums.
Because they probably do have 50 by now.
They have at least have 30, probably. I don't know. They have a lot, and I love them all. Some are way better than others. But and I kind of, and even though it has been 2 years since they released their last one, I'm ready for a new one already. Come on, Rivers, give it to me.
Well, there was a while there where they released one every year.
They were releasing 2 a year for a while.
Oh, was it
he
2?
did fall, summer, spring, and winter or whatever. He was doing seasonal short albums. He did B-side albums, several back to back. He did the Teal album with another new album, OK Human, I think. He did the Death to Metal, whatever. It was a bunch of B-sides. It was just but that was even brilliant. There's a few songs on that too I love. So, but yeah, I'm a Pinkerton guy all the way. However, Blue could definitely be number one, and maybe it should be, but I just remember just thinking, this is brilliance. I mean, people are going to go, because they changed their sound. They weren't the same, but they were still awesome. Oh, that looks great.
I'm currently showing him a picture of the Weezer concert.
That's so great.
Yeah,
that's so great. Did anyone tear up when?
Oh my gosh, all three of us. It was a very cathartic, religious experience for us.
You look at a concert, just a 10-song concert. You play the Blue album, you got your money's worth, because I thought that's what it was. But My Name Is Jonas, perfect opening. Only in Dreams, perfect ending.
Right. No, they played. Yeah, so they played that at the end, but there was probably, like I said, 10 or 12 or 13 beforehand, and they were all. I mean, they're hits because they did play 3 or 4 from Pinkerton, but they played Island in the Sun, they played Pork and Beans, they played Beverly Hills.
Yeah, all their hits.
Yeah. And some of those songs. I mean, they were all better live. I mean, he's such
everything's better.
He's such a good guitarist, and they are such a great band that all of these songs were much better live.
Yeah, I got to see him in Dallas a few years before that, and I wanted to go, but the kid's too young, and I'd have to leave someone to sit with them overnight, and who wants to do that? Not even my mom wants to do that. I'm kidding. I don't know. She probably would if I asked her. But the thing is, I didn't want to burden. I felt like the bird from Horton hatches an egg.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go fly off to Florida while they sit and be miserable on a tree limb.
Well, maybe that's what you should have said last week on the fatherhood podcast. You should have said your least favorite thing about fatherhood is I can't go see Weezer.
I can't go see Weezer. That's the word. Let me reprimand what I said last week. I can't go see Weezer. That's the thing. I just couldn't. And I mean, I'm not saying kids get in the way of that, but the thing is, though, I didn't want to burden him.
Right.
Someone would have definitely taken it. I know people were taking it, but we did it once, and I hated every minute of it. I hated every minute of it because I felt like the bird from Horton hatches an egg. I felt like here I am doing stuff without the kid, guilty, or whatnot. Like I can do stuff without the kids. My wife's watching them. I don't care. I don't even think about them. But and vice versa. She goes, she used to go off annually for a week or so, and I'd watch the kids, and she would ask if she could stay a second week. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But when someone else is watching them and it's overnight or something, then I start feeling bad. It's like, oh wow, look at me shirking my responsibilities.
Right.
But it just wasn't. And I've had to make a few sacrifices for that. But yeah, that was one that kind of hurt, because when I thought that was a brilliant idea for their 30th anniversary, just to tour and do the entire Blue album. That you just, can't miss that kind of stuff.
Well, what's funny is, like, this particular podcast and this topic today is not exactly what we talked about whenever we left that concert, but we wish that more people would do that.
Do the whole album.
Yeah, just do a whole album.
If it's the critically acclaimed,
but it would have to be one of these albums.
It has to be one of these. Like Alanis Morissette is doing Jagged Little Pill.
Do you know how much money she would make? How many people would go see that?
Oh, goodness gracious!
Right.
She could print her own money.
Yes.
Or do this concert and be the same.
Right,
thing.
because Weezer has toured a lot, and they usually have big houses. Don't get me wrong, but just saying this is the Blue Album tour, and the merch was all about the Blue Album tour. They just made so much money, more money, just by playing songs.
I got a T-shirt. Did someone send me that T-shirt? I can't remember. It was the Blue Album T-shirt. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe they probably got it from Walmart. Who knows? But I don't think it had the dates on it. I don't remember. But yeah, I got the tour. Of course, you gotta get the T-shirt, the overpriced, the $30 T-shirt that costs $5. You have to buy it because you're there at the concert. At first, I didn't want to, and I was like, Yeah, I'm a fan of it.
I'll tell you one thing that happened, which was really neat, is, and I didn't know this because I don't really go to a lot of concerts. Neil, my friend Neil, being a musician and being in that world, he started telling me about and teaching us about posters for concerts and how posters are the first things to always sell out, and they can be a really big deal because most concerts, the poster will be specific to that town and that date. So they're not these universal ones, so they can look different. So when we were at, the Weezer one, we went to every merch place that we could, and they were already sold out of like all of the posters because it was the first thing to go because he thought this would be a neat thing to have. Fast forward to Christmas, he lives here in town. Rusty comes in, and he has a present for me and Rusty. He had gone online and bought the actual and got them both framed. So I have this nice framed like Weezer from Austin in September, 24 or whatever, to kind of commemorate that.
You when you open that up.
Oh yeah, it's like the briefcase from Pulp Fiction. Like it just it glows. It's just gold when you look at it. But it was such a nice, sweet gesture because that's how much it meant to us. Because that was like our album. That was us moment. Growing up. I mean, it was our childhood, or our not childhood, but our like adolescence. Our teenage years.
Absolutely loved it. All right, folks. So that's our top 5. What are your top 5 perfect albums? Every song on the album is a 10. Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on
Saturday
morning.
Samoflange.